After a pause of 9 years, my partner and I encountered challenges. In 2013, she had an emotional affair that became a big hurdle for us. Nevertheless, we overcame it, added 2 kids to our family, and achieved professional success. Lately, my partner copes with COVID-19 and her demanding job, causing usual stress. We both felt anxious due to these circumstances. It surprised me when I landed in the hospital thinking it was a heart attack, but turned out to be a panic attack. Despite an active sex life, our busy schedules drove us apart emotionally. To break this cycle, we jokingly considered visiting a swingers club as an escape from daily pressures, not for outside sexual activities. We're open to exploring new experiences together, even with another couple, but not interested in polyamory. Adding to the stress, my wife has to relocate for 2 years due to military obligations, without moving our finally settled children after years of moves. Despite the challenge, I'm confident we can handle it with flexible work arrangements and technology, allowing her remote access. Interestingly, some acquaintances are trying polyamory due to infidelity. Though not my preference, my wife, reading The State of Affairs, Rethinking Infidelity, finds it intriguing as part of her research. Complicating matters with school starting soon, my in-laws are currently visiting. While great for the kids, it's becoming a bit overwhelming with these challenges and recent emotional distance. My wife suggested marriage counseling for a relationship health check. We're open to improvement, even discussing experimental ideas in therapy. Our first session went well. We talked openly and did homework like love languages. After a business trip, I returned for our second session recently. I want to mention that my in-laws are staying with us during the final week of school holidays. While it's nice, there's a reason it might not be great, explained below. In our second session, we were discussing ways to strengthen our emotional bond. I brought up my concerns about my wife's upcoming military posting and how we rebuilt trust after her affair in 2013. Then she dropped a bombshell. I'm not emotionally fulfilled in our marriage. I truly believe ethical non-monogamy is the only way for me to be satisfied. The therapist and I were stunned. Memories of the affair resurfaced, triggering anxiety, making me feel emotionally distant. When the therapist asked how I felt, all I could say was I feel betrayed. With the looming posting deadline intensifying my anxiety, the session felt overwhelming. Time seemed to slip away and the reality hit me hard. After the therapy session, both she and the therapist suggested grabbing coffee to calmly discuss things outside during daylight hours. He declined, preferring to leave work early instead of returning to an uncomfortable home environment. At home, family small talk continued awkwardly, hiding underlying turmoil from visiting relatives. A new issue arose. They created a shared app profile, but she might not know I receive notifications when she logs in. She's been logging in multiple times daily, raising concerns given the agreed boundary not to message others. Anxiety led to a doctor's visit, and I'm angry about the situation, exacerbated by being with her parents and her timing of the bombshell revelation. I declined her request to talk due to absolute anger. Honestly, it seems like pushing for marriage counseling was her way to justify what she wants. She's more interested than I am in struggles to understand my reservations and boundaries. In therapy, I explained, it's not like trying new food, it's like moving to Mongolia against your wishes. It feels like being asked to fall in love with Mongolian culture when you're interested in Japanese, French, and Canadian cultures instead. Strange analogy, but true. Our therapist wants us to handle things individually, likely indicating things are getting out of control. Right now I'm lost and not sure how to approach tomorrow. My wife's going out, leaving me to deal with all these recent issues alone. Running away seems tempting, but I'm unsure if that's wise. Any advice is appreciated from those who have gone through similar situations or just general advice. Update. Firstly, about the theory. Despite the past, we're still open and respect agreed upon boundaries. We thought we could explore this maturely as we're comfortable discussing sex. These were just fantasies, never put into action. External relationships are beyond my emotional boundaries. Practically, I'm still shaken by anger and panic. I haven't spoken to my wife due to her parents' presence, but I will address it when they leave. Someone suggested Esther P., whose work on polyamory intrigued me, though she heavily promotes it, which clashes with my beliefs. Marriage counseling felt pushed onto us without considering our needs, fueling fears from past affairs. Could this push for openness be about an emotional gap year during her new job? I expressed concerns about her living alone with work and kids, but reassurances now feel shaky. Trust isn't a concern despite past issues. My frustration comes from feeling blindsided while dealing with guests, post-COVID exhaustion, and anxiety. I'm steadfast, knowing we'll address it properly. She messaged about talking before a football game with colleagues, but logged into the app twice afterward, raising suspicions. Returning home, we didn't talk. Next morning after guests left, we had a conversation. I shared resentment and fury for dropping this bombshell while her family was around. I asked to see the app. Her confession, she was chatting with 6 men and 1 woman about their lifestyle choices. Conversations weren't explicit, but she shared photos and exchanged numbers. Anger took over, leading to livid fury. From the beginning of our relationship, we've openly discussed sexual exploration. Despite trying not to overanalyze recent events, it feels like a betrayal, eroding trust that's not easily regained. I lost control and the kids overheard. I don't know what to do now. She claims nothing will come of her actions, just an ego boost. But similar excuses led to issues before. I've been in tears all morning. Our emotional distance from past trauma is a factor. Her behavior of using marriage counseling to cover personal conversations shows contempt. Continuing while I'm going through emotional trauma is hard to comprehend. I'm sure you felt this too. I worry she'll lose interest no matter how hard we try. I warned her about a lonely life without satisfying emotional needs. I started antidepressants yesterday, inducing detachment from anger. Reading app messages showed innocence, but its existence without disclosure crosses boundaries. It's exhausting, but I won't give up on my family. Marriage counseling sessions might uncover root causes. Trust is shattered again. If she pursues polyamory, why bother? She won't be a priority for those men. What will she tell our daughters? Choosing unrealistic expectations over family. It baffles me how she misinterpreted harmless fun. Exploring emotional ties outside our marriage without warning frustrates me during counseling. Reading books and chatting with poly individuals contradicts the excitement expressed. She found polyamorous individuals intriguing, sharing their captivating stories. I know she hasn't met them in person and only communicated through the deleted app. She disagreed with me about a friend's infidelity excuse, siding with him due to his supposed polyamory. Her recent claim of misunderstanding doesn't reassure me. This being the 3rd occurrence, I won't accept falling short of her arbitrary standards again. While she's away on business, I'll reflect. I attended counseling sessions identifying areas for improvement without excusing her actions. Joint counseling today wasn't smooth. She suggested seeking non-monogamous relationships as a cry for help or drama. Feeling unsafe, I questioned her intentions. Her uncertain response worried me more. The conversation diverted to gender roles and monogamy, questioning traditional views. I felt distant. After the session, we talked. She said she doesn't intend to see someone else, but wants to see how it goes. I don't want to take that chance at 42. I want her committed. She mentioned not discussing moving interstate, but I said we had, and my boss agreed to my office transfer. Suddenly, she's planning to go and considering the family logistics. I feel like us moving would cramp her style, but she denied it. I asked her what her friends would advise if roles were reversed. She's asking me to make it work, claiming she wants a life together. So, she's being affectionate, but seriously, after everything? Trying to juggle kids, work, and not lose my temper with her is overwhelming. Something felt off about the poly reveal in counseling. After hearing about her workmate's failed polyamory experiment and their marriage issues, I got suspicious. She was meeting him for coffee. Since her affair, I'm cautious about her male workmates. I went through her phone, and the lack of messages from this friend raised a red flag. Feeling guilty, I checked her messages with her distant best friend. It's harsh, painting me as annoying. She even seemed relieved when I went overseas. She's mad. I shared about her affair in 2013, calling me an arsehole. It's overwhelming. To say the least, she admitted to her friend that dropping the poly bomb was like setting off a firecracker. During a conversation with her friend, she mentioned old mate without divulging details. This raised suspicions for me, and I confronted her with the screenshots. She shut down and claimed she was tired. She said the conversations were crossing boundaries, and she pulled back. When I asked why messages were deleted, she said it was about discussing our marriage. I argued that it was an emotional affair at work, similar to last time. She downplayed it, saying it wasn't considered an affair if he wasn't aware of her guilt. She's brushing it off and not considering it an affair. I'm frustrated and considering contacting his wife, as the issues in our marriage likely involve my wife. It's infuriating, but not surprising, given her interest in polyamory research. She wants to fix our marriage, but the red flags are alarming. I'm traveling to Canada for work in a week, and I'm curious about what will unfold during our quasi-break. For now, I've stayed put, although I have a bag packed in case I need to leave quickly. The temptation to do so has been strong. We've agreed not to fight until our next marriage counseling session. Last night, I meticulously reviewed her messaging history. It's clear that it was an emotional affair, not a physical one. He seems to have influenced her into the poly lifestyle. Regardless, it's still considered an affair since she felt guilt and didn't tell me. I have individual and joint marriage counseling sessions this week, and I'm leaning towards ending things. I laid out some realities for her last night. The affair likely cost our marriage and will also have financial consequences. Her plans to move to another city may be affected due to custody issues. Our daughters will have tough questions for her. Our income will significantly decrease, and she may have to pay child support. I believe it was a reality check for her. Part 2. I had a strong reaction the other night and asked her to leave, even throwing my wedding band in the weeks that followed. My attempts to hold things together crumbled, and I had a breakdown. I'm torn because I'm almost certain that nothing physical happened with the guy she's been talking to, but there is definitely emotional closeness that seems like an emotional affair. I found out she was also talking to others on an app. She admitted to seeking emotional support from him instead of me, but she backed away around Christmas. When I asked about a recent photo she sent him, she went silent. Today, in my individual counseling session with the same marriage counselor, I recounted how I went through her phone. The counselor was shocked and mentioned that there's a lot to process. I'll be leaving for a work trip to Canada for 2 weeks soon, and although the timing isn't great, I'll use it to think about what I want. My wife reassured me that no matter what, I'll be okay, but my retort about turning to Tinder if we break up wasn't my proudest moment. The initial crisis is over, but now I'm simmering with rage at the situation. My wife tries to downplay it, citing her mental state, but the facts are clear. 1, she messaged her polyamorous workmate every day using overly familiar terms, which is definitely an emotional affair. She even mentioned going to a sex shop while messaging him. Really? 2, despite claiming the polyamory thing was a plea for marriage help, she researched polyamory topics, talked to polyamorous people on a dating app, and conveniently, her workmate is polyamorous. Yeah, right? 3, I've been managing everything at home while she's on and off military courses, but she complains about me to her friend. Her friend even knew about this guy she won't fully explain, which infuriates me. Cheering on character attacks while asking about affair details? Unbelievable. I'm trying to channel this anger. My wife insists on moving for a big job in 6 months, but I won't accept being a single dad for almost 2 years while risking her repeating her flaws. Blaming our latest crisis on emotional disconnection while doing the same for 2 years is ironic and hypocritical. Things have gone really wrong since my last update. Despite saying nothing happened with the work guy, I went on another phone search. I found messages from 3 months ago where she praised his skills and hinted at more. I confronted her. She claimed it was about conversation skills. Digging deeper, I discovered months of deleted conversations and messages about managing a breakup and losing an investment. Turns out she was in a relationship with him. Confronting her again, she said it was purely emotional and one-sided, but I questioned why she'd call it a breakup. I had a moment of clarity during a massage on our holiday. Why am I tolerating this? I lost control and told her it's over. that no husband should have to check for infidelity. We agreed to address it in counseling. On our way back, I broke down in the car, questioning the emotional affair. She admitted they slept together during a military course. I screamed and the kids cried. We calmed down, but I felt betrayed. During the drive, I confronted her lies and the failed counseling. I told her this cost her house equity, her job, and her kids' respect. I asked her to leave when we got home, and she moved out to a friend's place. It's been a day, I'm in pain, and I know divorce is right, but it's agonizing. This can't be fixed a second time. I've never cried so intensely. It's the end of the marriage, losing a friend and wife, and discovering her betrayal cuts deep. Though we'll be amicable, it's still awful. On the bright side, my mom is coming to help with the kids. She's furious due to my dad's past infidelity and divorce. I feel a weight lifted, no more worry about her cheating. Today was anger in the grief cycle, hoping to skip depression and just accept it. My 5-year-old said, "Everything has worked out how it's meant to," wise words on a positive note. A friend mentioned, "Someone is interested in me, but I'm not planning to date soon." It's nice to glimpse the future. I've cried more than ever before. Things are slowly getting easier. I almost feel sorry for my soon-to-be ex, but I'm glad I trusted my instincts throughout. Her deception and choices boggle my mind. Those tearful nights last year weren't about me, but her guilt knowing it would be over if I found out. Why she risked it all for a relationship with him baffles me. Guilt seems to have hit her hard. She's moving from our family home to a smaller house and buying new furniture. It's been tough for me to talk to her due to the pain. My STD tests came back negative, which I told her more than she did for me. On a positive note, we're working with a lawyer specialized in amicable divorces. I expressed my frustration that she benefits from her actions while I add to the mortgage. She surprisingly acknowledged that the split doesn't have to be 50-50. Her job posting ended, affecting her promotions. I made it clear I won't handle most parenting while she lives freely. She must co-parent properly, or I'll pursue full custody, potentially leading the kids to resent her. Recently was my birthday, and she sent a voucher along with a card. It said she cared and looked forward to celebrating next year. Annoyed, I told her to keep it and transferred the amount back. It was frustrating since the voucher related to a hobby she had previously criticized. I'm heading to the States for work, and I'm excited to take a mental break. Update, I wanted to share how things have unfolded almost 3 months later. There have been ups and downs, but overall, I'm moving forward in terms of coping and my perspective. My wife moved out mainly while I was working in the US. Her life is quite different now. I have the kids every other week, which isn't ideal as I miss them greatly during my off weeks. Adding to my frustration, I've pieced together the timeline of what occurred. She slept with a married polyamorous man during a course in November 2020, one of 3 side relationships he had outside his marriage. Talking to my therapist, we suspect he saw her as a perfect fling, a married woman with kids who wouldn't get emotionally needy. I'm guessing she got clingy toward the end of 2021, and he cut her off in November or December. He allegedly divorced and went monogamous with one girlfriend. This aligns with her messages to her friend about going through a breakup and being invested in the relationship. Soon after, she logged into a dating app for polyamorous partners. She seemed to need a replacement while insisting on marriage counseling. She told the therapist she was mostly happy with our marriage. Despite knowing this, the audacity and betrayal fuel my anger since separating. I've had dark moments recently thinking about how she's harmed our family, kids, finances, and future, leading to tears. We're going through the financial separation now. I'll need to remortgage the house to pay her around $300,000. She's already received roughly $90,000 by taking our paid-off car and using joint account money to restart her life. Her involvement with the other man has cost me about $400,000. It angers me that she seems rewarded for poor choices, getting a subsidized rental house and a 6-figure payout. I'm left with a huge mortgage amid rising interest rates. I have the house, but it feels pointless when the aim was stability for the kids. I still can't believe I'm divorced. It feels unreal. My ex-wife seems depressed. My oldest told the babysitter that mom cries in her bedroom all the time. She's friendly towards me, seemingly baffled by my lack of interest. I don't respond to her texts unless they concern finances or the kids. It's hard to reconcile this stance with the fact that I once adored her and had future plans. Life changes fast. It's not all bad news. On a friend's suggestion, I jokingly tried dating apps and found that women in their 30s and 20s are interested in my 43-year-old self. My counselor mentioned there's academic research on this suggesting that older men are seen as safe options. I've gone on a few casual dates, and women are okay with my 3 kids. One said, raising 3 kids practically alone is attractive. An attractive female friend gave up online dating due to older guys contacting her. She rarely hears from guys her age, especially ones with kids. My counselor believes my ex-wife's dating pool will be different, and her history of cheating won't help her. For those in similar situations, I recommend seeking therapy. My therapist has been a great support. I have started seeing someone tentatively. She is 9 years younger and unbothered by my kids. She has also experienced infidelity in her previous relationship and strongly dislikes cheating. I am not rushing, but it is reassuring to find good people and see a brighter future ahead. She has agreed to a 40-60 split, which is the best outcome in a tough situation. In Australia, there are no-fault divorces, so adultery does not affect financial matters. Despite my significantly higher salary, she has been cooperative and we are planning a smooth financial split. It still hurts to set the mortgage back by a decade. Thank you all for your support. I am still struggling, but I find comfort in the absurdity of the situation. She cheated on me, a fit, secure, educated, and responsible husband, with a scrawny married man who was juggling multiple girlfriends. Quite a catch. I am off to wine country in Australia for the weekend, with a younger Italian woman who has been supportive. We plan on having a fun weekend to take my mind off things.